So we take you for the last trip before getting settled in Grasse. So we're going to California now, and we will meet Jocelyn and Keri, who are the co-founder of Grasse. And they've created their businesses 2 years ago. They feed communities. Their business, led them to build their companies to nourish or feed communities. And we wanted the community to be, the Pays de Grasse. So is it a paradox to have two Americans to cook here in Grasse with local products? And they wanted to meet, and they met Nature 10, and we went to meet with Philippe Federzoni yesterday. They wanted to go and talk with him. And it can be seen as a paradox the paradox of the world. They've been in the kitchen since yesterday. They haven't been able to. I think they're quite stressed because they think, but not quite followed. But it's so Jocelyn and Keri, it's.
Last night I had a dream about a home that was so right. I don't know why it has to be a dream. Why can't I? When will I? Lord, help me. Help me find a home. Keep your eyes on the prize. Don't be dismayed. Don't be dismayed. Deep in your hearts, you must believe. Everything is gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be alright today. Bonsoir, Grasse. Merci. We often begin our events with a blessing and by describing the menu, so we thought that we would start this evening in that way too. It's some way to set the tone and really become situated in place to welcome in a new experience. We wanted to really appreciate what an amazing day that we've had. We are coming straight from the kitchen, actually, preparing your lunch for tomorrow. We didn't have as much of an opportunity to join you in the conference, but what we've heard is that there's been such amazing speakers tonight with such inspiration and passion, and just want to honor all that's come before us as we stand here and bring our piece to this experience. My name is Jocelyn Jackson. I come from the prairies of Kansas in the central United States. I grew up raising market lambs in 4-H and singing around a really big table with a really big family. I have experience with law, art, yoga, environmental education, and so much international travel. And all those experiences, there was a through line. There was a common denominator. And for me, that was cooking. Not just food, but cooking. And I found that all of my interests could really be satisfied by taking that on as my profession. And it was really sweet to know that I could express my creativity. I could express my responsibility that I felt for caretaking the process of food moving from a seed to the table. And it could be all-inclusive experience.
Hi, everybody. Let's go back. I'm Keri, and I grew up baking apple pies and cookies at my grandmother's side, also in the Midwest. When I was 21 years old, I moved to California, and I started falling in love with all of the beautiful local and seasonal produce at my fingertips. I left my career of 7 years to go and work on a farm for 4 months in Northern California, and it changed my life. For the first time in my life, my work felt useful and meaningful and deeply connective. And I remember driving home from my stint on the farm back to the city with lots of people and away from all the land, and I made a promise to myself that from that point forward, I would always work with one foot in the soil, because I knew I needed to maintain a deep relationship with the earth and with plants. That was it. Oh, and that was it. As a food photographer and as a cook, I get to celebrate that connection every day. So about 2.5 years ago, Jocelyn and I started a small business, a small nourishing business called Grace, and we decided to call ourselves nourishers instead of caterers, because we believe in feeding the body, the mind, and the spirit, and not just the belly. And we both have a passion for the earth and for food, and we love using that to build relationships within our community. So our business is located in Northern California, specifically Oakland, which is just across the water from San Francisco. Have any of you ever been to Oakland?
Anybody? Oh, that's wonderful.
Few of you? It's awesome. It's an amazing place. You would love it. It has an incredible scene. The food scene is so vibrant. There are so much. There's a great multicultural cuisine. There are food trucks, urban farms on every corner. Food justice organizations are everywhere. And it's a wonderful place. And where we live, food really is creating cultural shifts and raising political awareness, as well as, providing really delicious experiences. And Jocelyn will describe a few of those experiences right now.
Right, but not before we ask a question of you. We just wanted to have a moment for, again, there's the tone of wanting to be able to connect and relate to one another in the moment. So we're going to point out something that is universal. We have an amazing presence of geographical diversity here all over France and beyond. What is in common to us is likely that we've all eaten a sunflower seed and a beet. Probably true. And what I would like to do is, over the next couple of minutes, I would like for you to discuss with the person next to you a memorable experience of eating one of these ingredients. And again, 1 minute per person, and we'll let you know when to switch. But just take a moment to think back into your history, think back into your felt experience, and remember that moment when you experience either a beet or a sunflower seed, and we'll come by to why that's relevant. The first person, you probably identified a partner. The first person, go ahead and share the story that you have of enjoying one of those ingredients, and I'll tell you when the 1 minute mark is up. Go ahead. Storytelling is such a powerful thing. It really takes us over. I love hearing the volume in the room. It tells me that you all are excited about sharing your stories and seeing perhaps where there are some things in common between you. And that's the power of food. The power of food, if I could have your attention, the power of food is to create an opportunity for connection, for a deep level of respect, for what food can offer us as a base in our lives. And it can also give us an opportunity to take higher responsibility for the food, for the produce, for the experience of those ingredients we enjoy so regularly. What is sweet is that I think that I heard tell of favorite restaurants, of perhaps gardening projects, of childhood memories of hulling sunflower seeds. All these moments collect over a lifetime to make food meaningful. And as adults, we have the opportunity in our vocations to bring that alive. And that's what I'm so excited about being here, is that moment of vibrancy, of bringing our stories and our memories alive. What I'd like to share with you is that our inspiration as Grace Hearth is really to take a moment in each place where we work to connect to people and place, to the community and ecology of a place, and to represent that in the food that we cook. And we start with the stories. We start by listening to people's stories, then creating a menu that reflects and can support the celebration, the event, whatever it is that we are nourishing. So that process has really been refined over the last few years to the point that we can share with you some of the stories of the projects that we've worked on with this really strong root in community. The first one I'd like to share about is called People's Community Market. This is the initiative of Brahm Ahmadi. He is the CEO, and he initiated a direct public offering in order to raise funds to support a full-service grocery in West Oakland, which is known as a food desert, a place where access to whole foods is incredibly difficult. We were able to nourish that experience by being at these events to enlist stockholders. So for us, for our food to be a vector for that responsibility of a neighbor taking on access to food for another is just a beautiful thing. We also were able to do something called grits and greens. Does anyone know grits and greens? It's a traditional southern foodway. The ingredients, perhaps you know it as polenta, and greens like collards or mustard greens. It is, like I say, a traditional foodway, and our friend Ashara was able to do a really remarkable thing, which is take the co-work space in Oakland called Impact Hub and host an event about food, art, and technology, and have us provide the nourishment for that event using that foodway as an inspiration. We freestyled. We were able to improv on that each morning. It was a breakfast event. And so, again, an opportunity for our food to highlight the possibilities in our community for real vibrancy and awareness around what is possible in food, art, and technology, specifically for that event. And the last one I'd like to speak about before passing it on to Keri is something that we are amazingly proud of and just inspired by all the time. It's called Late Night Art. This event is done regularly, usually once a month, and it is a brainchild of, a heartchild, I should say, of Adam Rosendahl. It is a combination of collaborative art making, music, and food in one 3-hour evening, and it is phenomenal. It is just alive in every moment. And what we get to do in that circumstance is, again, provide nourishment for people that are being unleashed from the barriers often that are created around creativity, that are created around connecting to one another. And having art and food as a platform to that, plus a magnificent dance soundtrack, is pretty a phenomenal experience each month. We've done over 25 of those in the time that we've had Grace Arth in existence.
So some of my favorite experiences, our favorite experiences, are the nature-based experiences that we get to do, or that we get to nourish. And one of our favorite things to do is to nourish farm-to-table dinners or lunches. And we'll show up at the farm with all of our gear, our bowls, our aprons, our knives, and we'll meet the farmer and we'll help him or her harvest from the field that morning. Then we'll cook something delicious from food that was freshly harvested. So that's one of our favorite things to do. We've also cooked for multi-day retreats under coastal redwoods, where we've set up a giant kitchen in the middle of the forest and slept in tents, which was really fun. And we've also done retreats where we've focused on the process, or actually the path, the seed-to-table path, where we've sort of educated people about how to seed save, and we've given them seeds and sort of how to cultivate plants and then harvest and cook with them. So that's another thing.
Yeah, and also these pictures depict some of the more traditional things we do, like weddings, or what we like to call love stories, meetings, all of these things that are with a focus of nourishment being necessary to really improve the experience and highlight even more what's possible in the context of the mundane of every day. It's like that food can be that activation is really the place that we love to reside. What I'd like to say to you now is that we really do work as nourishers to bring sort of a tender mindfulness and intention to the process of listening, selecting, and really transforming the abundance of each season, and majority in the realm of organic food as well. This is important to us because when folks eat from our table, we really want them to feel welcome without any reservation, and we want that to be felt from the heart. What we'd like to invite you to do now is come to to lunch tomorrow. We are providing a meal that is expressing the autumnal abundance. We're going to have squashes and champignons. We are also going to have some local favorites like chickpeas and chestnuts, all combined in perhaps a way that is different or unfamiliar. And we hope that that ignites some curiosity and some sort of an opportunity to explore what is, again, possible with the things that we know, but have even more possibilities when combined in creative ways. I'd also like to invite you to take the recipes that perhaps have been handed out, perhaps are going to get to you in a little bit. One of them is for a chocolate beet cupcake. We put a root vegetable in a chocolate cupcake. You'll be eating it tomorrow. We cover it with a bittersweet chocolate ganache, and it's a fantastic moment, I must say. Sweetness and moisture of that root really contributing to chocolat being a beautiful thing. We also have a recipe for you that is sunflower seed pâté. It is a pâté without viande. So it's another moment of what's possible within ingredients to transform the assumptions and possibilities that we have for ingredients, and at the same time, what is powerful story that we can tell because of those new ways of interacting. And that is, those are two of our favorite recipes. And it also gives us an opportunity by giving you these recipes for you to perhaps strike up a conversation as you go to the farmer's market or with a neighbor that grows these. And learn their stories, just like you did this just a little bit earlier. Take a moment to share those stories and to have a chance to really have a deep connection that ignites the continued storytelling. What I'd like to also say is we have some social media info up here. We would love it if you would feed back to us, if you would share with us perhaps a photo of your recipe or a story that came from taking on the project of taking on one of these recipes to create for your family or friends. Because really what we think is that recipes are love letters between cooks in different times and different places. And it gives us the opportunity to talk to each other in a really heart-centered way. And it gives us an opportunity to share with our loved ones in a very timeless and generative way. And we hope that we are able to do that for you tomorrow during lunch. And everyone is welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you.